Hello children. Now I'm going to start with the exercise after discussing briefly about the types of relations. Right? I am taking exercise 1 and we'll be doing the important problems. The most trivial problems will be left for you as a homework. Please do those from your side. So we are going to start with exercise 1.1 of our textbook NCERT. And at the beginning I am going to start with question number 2 because already we have done question number 1, 2 important problems, the rest you can do easily. Question number 2, they have given a relation and they are asking you to show that this is neither reflexive nor symmetric nor transitive, right? So I am writing the relation first. The relation what they have given to us is relation, this is a comma b. The criteria that they are related is a is less than or equal to b square, where these elements are taken from the set of real numbers. So this is the relation above. So now we have to examine whether this relation is symmetric, reflexive or transitive or not, right? So first we are going to show or check whether it is reflexive. It is not, already we came to know, so just we have to give the counter example, right? So we'll write directly that clearly R is not reflexive. R is not reflexive as half comma half does not belong to R. Why? As because half is not less than or equal to half square, because if you take half here, then half square will be 1 by 4 and 1 by 4 is smaller than half, right? So it contradicts the fact that a comma a belongs to A for all a belongs to R. So we'll write the concluding step also so that we can easily understand that, right? Thus for all a belongs to capital R, a comma a does not belong to R, right? So this is not reflexive. So we have given the example. Now secondly, it is not transitive, symmetric as well. So for symmetric there is no problem. It is an easy example you can give. So take like this. Also R is not symmetric, right? Symmetric as directly you give the counter example, because if it is not true, counter example will be enough. As you can write like this, that 2 less than or equal to 3 square, but you write like this, 1 less than or equal to 3 square, but 3 is not less than or equal to 1 square. That is 1 comma 3 is belonging to R, but 3 comma 1 does not belong to R. So thus what is the conclusion? A comma B belongs to R does not imply B comma A belongs to R for all A comma B belongs to a real number, right? So we have got what? A counter example which says that this particular relation is not symmetric also. Now come to the last one. This is little challenging, so I put a star here. This is little challenging. We have to show that this is not transitive, but normally this relation what we have seen, less than or equal, it becomes transitive normally, right? So we have to look for a good counter example. Again, R is not transitive because, right, because you consider 3 examples. Now you see, I give you the break also, the trick where you can break the problem. There is a square, so effect of negative will be nullified. Effect of negative numbers will be nullified. So you can take the help of these numbers. Negative numbers also you can introduce for proving this particular non-transitivity, right? Or you can say disproving. Now what exactly is your target? I'll do little rough work to show you so that you can easily understand what should be your target, right? So I'm doing little rough work here. What exactly you have to show? You have to get ordered pairs like this. You have to get ordered pairs like this, but you have to also get ordered pairs so that this will not be belonging to R. That means you should get some number where it is true, where this is also true, but a less than c square is not true. That means a should be bigger than c square. That should be the case here, right? If this happens, then you can say that it will not be transitive. So now we have to look for that particular examples, right? So let us just think. I do the rough work here so that you can see the work behind, right? I could have directly put the example, but I am actually doing this in front of you so that you can see what is the work behind, what is the thought behind it, so that we can generate the example from our side, right? So let me first try to identify two numbers a and b so that b square is less than, sorry, a is less than b square, right? And b is less than c square. This we have to identify. So now let's just try to see. We'll consider, say, a equal to 3. Let us consider a equal to 3. And then b I want to consider equals -2, right? So in that case, can I say that 3 is less than -2 square? Yes, I can say. That means I can have this particular ordered pair belonging to R. Next, I will consider b. Already it is considered. Now I have to give an input c in such a way that b is less than c square. But at the same time, I have to keep this in mind that at the end I should get 3 not less than c square but bigger than c square. So you have to take a number c whose square is less than 3. So can you identify any number whose square is less than 3? Yes, it can be 1, right? It can be 0 also. So let's see if we do by 1, right? So let us consider c equal to 1. If I do like this, so will I get that this is true? Yes, very obviously, because every negative number is less than all positive numbers. So this gives you -2, 1 belongs to R. But at the end, what did you observe? This is that true? It is not true. So that implies that 3, 1 does not belong to R, right? So these are the counter examples we are going to use to show that it is not transitive. I give you a task, you try to observe this kind of more examples from your side. I am writing this here now because for directly I am writing here for a equal to what we considered 3, b equal to -2 and c equal to 1. 3 is less than or equal to -2 whole square. -2 is less than or equal to 1 whole square, but 3 is not less than 1 whole square. That is 3, -2 belongs to R, -2, 1 belongs to R, but 3, 1 does not belong to R. And remember, this should have been the criteria to be satisfied in order to have the relation a transitive one. But here, as it is not satisfied, what will be our conclusion? Therefore R is not transitive, already we have written. So we have verified the given question, right? So that's it. That's an important question. Please mark this question as an important one. Now we'll be coming to the next question, right? It is also from the book, so that we can get acquainted with the book problems. So this is the second question what I want to take from the book itself. Question number 3. Once we'll discuss this, then we'll go for the other question. Question number 3. What is given in question number 3? They have given here a relation R where it is defined as A comma B, where B equal to A plus 1. And then they are asking you to check whether it is reflexive, symmetric or transitive. But here we have a referential set. What is a set? Where we have defined the relation, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the elements in the set A, or say any set which name is not given, of course. And now you have to check whether this is reflexive, symmetric, transitive or not. So now in order to do that, what we can do, we first express the whole relation. Because it is a very small relation, we can express the whole relation in the form of roster method. So what we can write here, if we give the input as 1, what we should get? 1 plus 1, 2 will be getting, fine. 2, then 3 will be getting. Input 3 will be getting 4. Input 4 will be getting 5. Input 5 will be getting 6. Can we give more input here? Like 6 we can give? 6 we cannot give because it is defined on this set. And if I put a 6 here, then I'll be going to get this as 7. So these are the ordered pairs, and this is the relation in roster method. Now clearly you go on justifying whether it is symmetric or not, reflexive or not. Okay, first we'll say reflexive. It is not reflexive because you cannot find the ordered pair like 1 comma 1, 2 comma 2, etc. from here, right? So directly you write clearly R is not reflexive, right? As you give a counter example, as 1 comma 1 does not belong to R, which shows that. Now you can write the general one, which shows that A comma A does not belong to R for all A belongs to set A, where set A is this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this is one. Reflexivity is not true. Okay, is that transitive? Sorry, is that symmetric? For symmetric, I should be sure that 1 comma 2, if it is there, I should get 2 comma 1 also. Is there any reflection where 2 comma 1 is there? It is not clearly visible, right? So one more thing you can justify from here. See, B is always greater than 1. So A cannot be greater than, B is always greater than A by 1, right? B is always greater than A by 1. So A cannot be greater than B. So obviously if 1 comma 2 belongs to R, 2 comma 1 cannot belong to R. This way you can justify, or else you can give the counter example also. Better you give the counter example because you have the relations in front of you, right? Again, R is not symmetric. R is not symmetric as, just look for a counter example, 1 comma 2 belongs to R, but 2 comma 1 does not belong to R, right? As this relation is in roster form, it is easier for us to identify, right? Number 3, is that transitive? Very clearly not, because 1 comma 2 is there, that is A comma B. 2 comma 3 is there, right? B, C. Can we find 1 comma 3? No. 1 comma 3 is nowhere, so clearly it is not transitive. Of course you can use the general formula also. I am not using because it is a small relation. When we have to show that it is transitive, then we will use a general approach, right? So we'll write also, right, R is not transitive. R is not transitive as 1 comma 2 belongs to R, 2 comma 3 belongs to R, but 1 comma 3 does not belong to R, right? If you want, you can write which shows that A comma B, etc. It's up to you. Otherwise your answer is finished here, right? So we'll be taking the next problem here only, but that is not question number 4, that is not question number 5, that is the next question we are going to take. But before that, just let me try to tell you, question number 4 and 5 you will do as a homework, right? Question number 4 and question number 5. Question number 5 is similar to question number 2, and this is important, right? Here you have to look for counter example as we did for question number 2, right? So that is a very important part you have to remember. Now question number, I am directly coming to question number 8, right? Even question number 6 and 7 also you can do. I am coming to question number 8. What is given in question number 8? Let us first try to see that. That is a very important question, remember it. Question number 8, it is a very important question. I am marking it here as important, right? So let us first write the relation, and then one by one we will be discussing this. So that the relation R, what is the relation R? R is defined like this: A comma B such that A minus B modulus is even, where A and B are taken from which particular set? Set A containing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 elements. Now you have to show that this is equivalence relation. There are many stages, right? First of all, you have to show that this is equivalence relation. Then some other parts are there. We will be discussing those parts one by one, right? That we will be discussing one by one. So now, right now, let me start with showing that this is equivalence, right? So for being equivalence, what I have to show? I have to show 3 parts. First is reflexive. So as this particular set is smaller, you can write it in the roster form also. But I am doing this problem in a bigger sense, right? Say instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if they will give this as a natural number set, what will happen? Am I clear to you? Okay. So now you see. Number 1, we will be observing first it is reflexive. So for A belongs to set A, this is the set A they have named. A minus A is equal to 0. Now is this even? Yes, 0 is always considered as even number because it leaves remainder 0 on division by 2. Therefore I can say magnitude of A, this is even. If this is even, what will be my conclusion? A comma A will belong to R. Therefore R is reflexive. So the first step we have finished. R is reflexive. We have finished the first step. Now we will try to see what is the second step, right? So second step is to show that this is symmetric, right? So let us start. For A comma B belonging to A, we will start with this. This belongs to R. Then now I have to end with B comma A belongs to R. If this is the case, what will it imply? By the definition of relation, this is even. Okay, this is even, fine. So now I want to do some interchange inside, right? So what I can do is something like that. This is even. Can I say just one extra thing I would like to tell you? You got this, there is no problem, so I can tell you here, this is not an issue. If a number x is even, then minus x is also even, right? So I can say if modulus x is even, then modulus of minus x is also even, right? So in that way I can say that this is also even. So if this is even, what I can say here, b minus a is even. If b minus a is even, what I can say? By the definition, this belongs to R. So now if this belongs to R, what can be my conclusion? What can be my conclusion? I can very well say that this particular relation is symmetric. Therefore, R is symmetric. R is symmetric. So we have proved reflexive and symmetricity. Now we'll be going for proving the transitivity, right? So this also I'll prove with the help of general approach, and I'll be doing it here. I'll not turn the page, right? So you can easily observe this is the place where we'll do the transitivity of this particular question, number 3. So what we'll do for transitivity? For a comma b belongs to R, b comma c belongs to R. So I have to start with this. Now I have to conclude that a comma c belongs to R, right? This is what you have to prove. So now if this happens, then what I can say, a minus b modulus and b minus c modulus of these are both even. They are both even, right? They are both even. If they are even, now we'll arrange something. Therefore I can easily say that this a minus b can be written as 2 times some integer, and b minus c can also be written as 2 times some integers, where m and n are some integers, right? They may be positive integer, they may be negative integers. That is not our botheration to look, right? So if this happens, now apply simple number theoretic approach. What will be their sum giving you? 2m plus 2n. This implies b and b will be cut. Then I can say a minus c, that will be equal to what? 2 times m plus n. Now can I say that a minus c is even? So if a minus c is even, then I can see that this is also even. But make sure that this is an integer, right? Will that be an integer? Yes, obviously, because integers are closed under addition and m and n are integers. So in the bracket only you can write here that this is belonging to I. So if this happens, what will be my conclusion? A comma c belongs to R, right? So if a comma c belongs to R, what will be overall conclusion? It is better always to write the last conclusion, right, as a part of the formality, right? This implies a comma c belongs to R for all ABC belonging to A. So what you will conclude as, therefore R is transitive. R is transitive. So R is transitive means, therefore R is equivalence. Why equivalence? Because equivalence relation, because it is symmetric, reflexive and transitive, all the three. Now we have the second part. We are coming to that. Okay, now what is given in the second part? They are saying that elements of 1, 3, 5, this set, are all related to the elements of the set 2, 4. These are related to each other. But no elements of 1, 3, 5 is related to any element of 2, 4. We can give, see here, as it is a small relation, we can give directly by writing all the elements very clearly. But I am going for a general approach. Please try to see that. If you find it difficult, you write the relation in roster form and then you comment on that. But I am not going to write this in the roster form. So I am going to write the two sets what they have given you, right? The given sets are, what are the given sets? Already one name A we have used, so I'll not use that name again. Write this 1, 3, 5, and the other set is 2, 4. So my task is to show that every element of this is related to that, right? But no elements of this 1, 3, 5, sorry, I made a mistake. Every element of set B are related to each other, or every other elements of B, every element of C are related to other elements of C, but elements of this set is not related to that. This is what we have to prove now. Now for that, you try to see. There is a clear-cut observation. Our relation criteria is what? Two numbers A and B are related if their difference is even. Now just observe when you will get the difference of two positive integers as even. If both the integers are either odd or if both are even, then only their difference will be even, right? So here you see the category. Here 1, 3, 5, these are all odd numbers. So any two odd numbers you take a difference, you will always get an even number, right? So that's the idea we'll be using for explaining this particular one. So we'll directly write it like this. We know that the difference of two positive integers are always even if they are both even or they are both odd, right? So you can now use this particular statement. This is a strong statement for this problem. Clearly all elements of B are odd, right? Whatever elements in B are there, they are all odd. So what you can say their differences? So difference of any two elements of B is always even, which indicates that every two elements, sorry, or okay, I'll write the statement like this: every element of B is related to the other elements of the set, right? Of the set, say B. Let us make it more clear. This is over. Now can we apply the same reasoning here? Yes, obviously, because all the numbers would be of the same category. So these are even numbers, so their difference is always even. So I can write here clearly by using the same argument, right? We can prove that elements of C are related to each other, right? So we have proved the second part. Now there is a third part where it is told that elements of B and C are not related. Very obvious, this same statement we can use, because if numbers are of different polarity, right, one is odd, another is even, right? If they are of different parity, we call it parity. So then what will happen? Their difference will not be even, that will be odd. So because here it is containing odd numbers and this is even numbers, any two numbers if you randomly pick from here and here respectively, one will be odd, another will be even, so difference cannot be even, right? So that same statement, that is powerful statement, here we are using that. Also difference of two integers, right? To better you write positive, right? Make it positive so that you will be getting rid of all these contradictions. Positive. Anyway, this will be valid for negative as well. Difference of two integers, positive integers, is always odd if one is odd and the other is even. Therefore, elements of set B which are all odd cannot be related to elements of the set C which are all even. Very clearly, hands proof. See here, actually I attempted a different approach. You can, as I told you, it is looking longer. Just why did I approach? Because this gives you an idea how you can modify the statements, right? Because to write the statement to explain your arguments is also very important in case of this kind of chapters. This kind of chapters means relation, functions, etc. Okay, so now we'll be moving for the next problem. Okay, next problem, that is question number 8. That is question number 9. So I'll not directly consider question number 9 from the book. Question number 9 given in the book is a very specific problem. I would like to go for its generalization so that you will be able to do that problem yourself. So I marked a star here to indicate that it is close to question number 9 but in the general form. So what is the general form question? Let us see. Right, so directly I am writing so that the relation R. What is the way of defining the relation here? I am giving you this is the criteria, that modulus of this is multiple of 4, right, where a comma b, these are taken from the set of integer, is an equivalence relation, number 1. Then I'll be adding one more part to it, also find the set of elements related to 3, right? Also find the set of elements related to 3. So this is in a general sense very good question, right? So let us try to solve it. Solution, rather I can say proof. So what we are going to prove? We are going to prove that this is equivalence relation. So we have to see that it is satisfying all the 3 criteria, right? So first I'll write the relation here. So this is the relation. See here, they did not fix the element here. Sorry, this is a minus b modulus is a multiple of 4, where a and b are taken from the set of integer I. Fine. Now we'll be approaching in a general way. That's the thing what I was looking for. Here I do not want to go for expressing this in the set builder roster method. It will be useless, right? You will not be able to express that because set of integer is an infinite set, right? So how many order pairs you will be writing? So now you see clearly. First we are going for reflexivity. So for any integers a belonging to this set I, right? Any integer a, what do you say about this? This is 0. There is no doubt about that, right? So what will be modulus of this? This is also 0. So is this a multiple of 4? Because this time criteria is of being multiple of 4. So it is multiple of 4. 0 is multiple of any number, right? So it will be multiple of 4. Therefore, can I say that it is belonging to the relation R? Yes, this is true. And this happens for all a because I have chosen arbitrary a. Arbitrary means any randomly chosen number a. So therefore, a comma a belongs to R. Therefore, R is reflexive. First part is over. Very fine. Come to the next. Now, for a comma b belongs to integer, let us start with a comma b belongs to R. This a comma b. This a comma b means separate element I am considering. This is the ordered pair a comma b. Because while I am reading, it sounds the same. I should have written ordered pair AB belonging to R. So that implies what? A minus B is a multiple of 4. Does it mean, can I apply the same trick what I applied for division by 2, that is even number? That was very known to us, right? Here also I can do, but I want to go for a deeper explanation. So I'll be explaining you in a deeper sense, but you can write that directly also. So you see how we'll write. If this is a multiple of 4, by division algorithm, what I can write? A minus B modulus will be 4 times some integer m. I really don't know whether this m is plus or minus, right? So in that way, what you can write? A minus B will be equal to plus or minus 4. Plus or minus 4m. Because this A minus B may be 4m. A minus B may be minus 4m. Right? For a particular integer m. So we'll be having this. Okay. After that, if I reverse the direction, what will I get? The sign will be changed. Minus or plus. But even the sign is changed. Ultimately, when you take the modulus, everything will come to the original sense. So what does it mean? I can now say that B minus A modulus is multiple of 4. If this is the case, I can say B comma A belongs to R, right? If we have got this, what will be our conclusion? Therefore, it is better always if you write the conclusion like this. This belongs to R implies B comma A belongs to R for all AB belongs to I. So what will be your conclusion now? Therefore, R is symmetric. Therefore, R is symmetric. So now pause the video for little time and please try to explore whether you have understood these things very clearly or not. Now I am going for explaining the transitivity. Of course, I'll not change the page so that you can see what the previous working you did. It will not be delinked. So I am doing the calculation here for the third. Third means I am going to show the transitivity. So for doing transitivity, how we'll do it? Yes, we'll take two ordered pairs AB and BC, right? Now for A comma B belongs to R and B comma B belongs to R, right? We'll be considering this and we'll try to show that A comma C belongs to R. So this gives, for this not gives, we have or we get, what we get, magnitude of or modulus of A minus B is multiple of 4 and modulus of B minus C is multiple of 4, right? Multiple of 4, both are multiple of 4. That means I can express both of them as 4 times some integers. There is no doubt about that. 4 times some integers where Mn and are integers. Now the real problem starts. Can we directly add them? No. If modulus is already there, you cannot directly add them. So what we'll do, we will remove the modulus just by putting a plus or minus sign here. Now already I explained why it is plus or minus, so there will be no problem in understanding this. Now you can add them up. If you add both of the numbers, then what will happen? Plus or minus sign will be common in between plus sign. This please try to adjust. B and B will be getting cut. So A minus C will be equal to plus or minus 4 times M plus N. This M plus N is an integer. So from here I can say that A minus C is a multiple of 4. Rather, first I'll write it like this. Okay, what do you say? Here this may be negative, right? So I put modulus here also. But this is even. Sorry, this is an integer. So this will tell you that A minus C modulus is multiple of 4. If this is multiple of 4, your conclusion will tell you what? This belongs to R. Therefore, without any problem, you write the conclusion that if this is belong to R, B comma C belongs to R, then this is definitely going to imply A comma C belongs to R for all integers taken from, for all numbers taken from the set of integers under these relations. Now I'll be going for the second part, but before that, pause the video and again go through it so that the second part will become easier, because second part is going to explain you something which is very, very important. Okay, let's start with the second part. In this second part, there is a very important concept hidden, right? In terms of question, first I am discussing. So this is the second part. In the second part, what they are asking, you need to find the set of elements related to 3, right? So here you see we are going to use a notation. We will write a box bracket and we'll put this is the symbol we use for whom set of elements related to 3 under that relation. So now first let us try to see what will be the element. So now this to directly you can write, this is not a big deal to write, but this is going to explore many big things. That's what I'm going to take. So the elements which are related to 3 should be what type of elements it should be. I'm doing little rough work here so that you can get. My relation was what? A minus B modulus is multiple of 4. That means if I fix this as 3, I have to find some numbers B here, so that if I take the difference, that should be something which is multiple of 4 into something, right? So now in that way you just go on exploring this. First you go for guessing in the sense you just go for identifying by trial and error method. That is 3. Okay, can 3 minus 3? Yes, I can put B as 3. That means 3 minus 3 is 0. So I can get a number 3 here. See, first I am writing in a jumbled way, right? Purposely I am writing so that you can observe this. Okay, fine. Then what number I can say? 3 minus 7 I can do, because it will give you minus 4. So the next number will be what? 3, then minus, I have taken 7. 3 minus 7, that means B I am considering as 7. What else I can do? 3 minus 11. So 3 minus 11 is going to give you minus 8. So 11 will be also there. Very nice. Then 3 minus 15. Then 15 I will be getting. Now did you form a pattern here? You see all the numbers are differed by 4. So once you find the first number, it is useless to find all the numbers by working out like this. Just go on adding 4 or subtracting 4. So if I want to find the next, it is obviously 19. Next will be 23, like this. Now you see, if I go on subtracting, then also it will be the case, because 3 minus 1 if I do, what will happen? 4 will come and it is divisible. That means minus 1 also I can do. So minus 1 can be obtained just by subtracting 4 from here. So 3 minus 4 will give you minus 1. I am writing, as I told you, in a jumbled way. I will make it sure here how to write it clearly or in a better way. Then from minus 1 you minus again 4, that gives you minus 5. Now you taste, if you subtract minus 5 from 3, will you get some number which is divisible by 4? Yes. Now from here you minus again 4. So this way you can go, right? So if you would have visualized this whole thing in the beginning only, you would have not written it in this jumbled way. You could have written it like this in a very good way. That is minus 13, minus 9, minus 5, minus 1, then 3, then 7, then 11, then 15. No need to write all the elements. I am writing some of them. So this is the set which I am going to get, which are related to 3, right? So they are asking you to write this. There is one better option to write this also. That also I will be discussing. First let me try to tell you, if I write it like this, this particular set is called equivalence class of 3, or equivalence class determined by 3, or equivalence class determined by 3. This is a very important concept. Be very alert, students. Now again I would like to repeat, what is equivalence class? If somebody asks you to find equivalence class, that means what they are asking you to find? They are asking you to find the set related to that particular element whose equivalence class is being told to find. For example, one additional part I am taking, because as I told you, I'll explain the concept. Suppose I give you 2 here with reference to this problem. That means I am asking the equivalence class of 2. That means those particular sets, or elements which are related to 2 under this relation. So here already we have experienced negative numbers also will be there. So this time I will not do that foolishness, right? So first 2 you can start. Then what you have to do? This side -4, this side +4. So 6, 10, 14, 18, some numbers. Then this side -4 means -2, -6, then -10, and then like this dot. This is the equivalence class determined by 2. Fine. Let me go for 1. For this only 1 is here. Then okay, so now equivalence class determined by 1. So 1 will be coming here. What will it be? 5, then 9, then 13, then you go on like this. Then this side it will be -3, then -7, then -11, and you go on like this, right? So this is what you have to do. Now next is 0. I am reducing it, right? 0 is related to 0, then will be 4, then will be 8. That means they are multiple, remember it, of 4. Write this. Then this side -4, -8, -12, and like this. See, I have found all the equivalence classes 0, 1, 2, 3, and then now let us try to see if I ask you to find 4. Okay, then I'll write 4 here. Then 4 plus 4, 8, 12, 16, like this. -4, again -4, -8, -12. We got this equivalence class of 4. Now there is a very important question or observation from my side. Just I am asking you that. Can you make any observation out of all this? There is a very important observation. See, the elements of these two sets are same. Do you know why this happens? This happens because 0 equivalence class is containing all these elements, and in that particular set 4 is also there. That means equivalence class of 0 contains 4. So when you find the equivalence class of 4, then obviously the element 0 which is related to 4 will come up here, and eventually it will decide the same set what has been decided by 0. Did you understand what I am trying to say? This is a very important part you have to always remember. This is a very important part always you have to remember in this particular case. That means equivalence classes will remain same if these elements which decides the equivalence classes are belonging to the same class or they are related to each other. Therefore, now if I try to find equivalence class of 5, then I am going to get the same set what is determined by 1, because 1 and 5 are related. You can see 5 is here, so you will be getting the same set which is decided by 1. It means now it will be completely useless for me to go on deciding the equivalence classes, because I am going to get all these repetitions. Now question is that how many different sets I'll be getting. So that will be always decided by this particular divisor. If this divisor is 4, there will be exactly 4 such different equivalence classes. If divisor will be 3, there will be exactly 3 equivalence classes, right? So here I am getting 4 different, this 0, 1, 2, 3. What is the reason? Because neither of these elements are related to each other. That's the idea. That's the idea. And surprisingly, you will find that you will not find any element from these 4 sets in common. You can try. These all different sets are disjoint. These all are disjoint sets. If you try to find the intersection, I am considering the intersection of all the 4, but even if you take the intersection pairwise, always you will find 5. And the other interesting thing is that if you take the union collectively, that gives you the complete set of integers. So tomorrow if there is a question to you that divide the set of integers, right, into 4 different sets which are infinite and their union is the integers. So what you have to do, you have to divide by 4 and you take the equivalence classes. If I ask you to divide the set of integers into 10 parts containing infinite number of elements, so that neither of these are having any intersection and their union should be the whole set of integers, what you have to do, you have to take the divisor as 10 and then there will be 10 equivalence classes. So that's the very important part you have to remember. And this happens for each and every equivalence relation. Every equivalence relation always divides, rather I say the word partitions, the given set into a given number of equivalence classes. So here my given set was integer, so this has divided the set of integer into 4 different equivalence classes. So this is what I wanted to explain you. Now we'll finish with this particular class. We'll see the other problems in the next video. Thank you so much.